Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
If you've ever found yourself, creeping into a dark room, holding your breath, and just praying that the floorboards don't squeak,
Yeah.
you already get the intense psychological weight of infant sleep. Today, we're taking the most critical information on this straight from sources like healthychildren.org, and we're going to synthesize it for you.
Exactly. And our mission today is, well, it's simple, but it's also vital. We want to cut through all the noise, all the anxiety, and just deliver two crucial sets of facts.
Okay.
First, what's actually normal for baby sleep development?
Wow.
What's the expected chaos?
Right, the normal chaos. I like that.
And second, what are the non-negotiable safety standards that every single parent needs to internalize, like right now, to keep their baby safe?
That distinction is just, it's everything, isn't it?
It is.
Because that emotional burden of being so tired, it just clashes with how critical safety is.
Yeah.
When you are operating on fumes, the chaos of it all just makes you vulnerable. So let's start right there. Let's set some realistic expectations. When we look at the biology of it, especially for, say, first-time parents who are used to a normal schedule, what is the actual timeline? When does a baby start to get anything that looks like a regular sleep cycle?
That's the core question. And the answer is a bit of tough love, honestly.
Okay.
Consistency takes time. Most babies, they just don't have the neurological wiring yet to develop a regular adult-like sleep cycle until they're closer to 6 months old.
6 months. So that's really the magic number.
That 6-month mark is truly the developmental pivot point. Before that, it's a different world. And if you just look at the raw numbers for a newborn, they look huge. They might sleep, 16 or 17 hours a day?
Yeah.
But that number is so deeply misleading because of how disorganized that sleep is.
Misleading is an understatement. I think that's the #1 shock for new parents, that all those hours don't mean long stretches of sleep.
Got it all.
You see 17 hours on paper, but the sources are clear that these are just, 1 or 2 hour chunks, tops. So what is happening developmentally? Why can't they link those sleep cycles together?
It's mainly driven by two biological things. First, they don't have a fully developed circadian rhythm. That's your internal clock telling you it's day or night.
Right.
And that only starts to get sorted out between 2 and 4 months. Second, and this is the big one, their nutritional needs are immense. Their stomachs are tiny. They have to refuel constantly.
So they're not built to fast for 8 hours.
Not even close. And another fascinating thing is the type of sleep they're getting. Newborns spend about half their sleep time in REM sleep.
REM, so that's the light active sleep.
Exactly, the twitchy dreaming phase. For adults, it's maybe 20% of our sleep. So because babies are in this light sleep so much, they're just naturally more likely to wake up all the time.
Okay, so less deep restorative sleep means more frequent wake-ups.
Yeah.
That explains why they're just not great sleepers at first. You mentioned that 6-month milestone. So what actually changes in their bodies at that point that helps them start stringing those hours together?
So by 6 months, a few things have happened. Their digestive system is more mature, their circadian rhythm is working, and crucially, they're starting to transition to a more mature sleep cycle.
You need more deep sleep.
More deep non-REM sleep, yes. And this is why the source material says it's totally normal for a 6-month-old to still wake up during the night. That's just them shifting cycles.
But the difference is?
The difference is they now have the ability to self-soothe and drift back to sleep after just a few minutes. That self-regulation, that's a huge win.
That is the piece of knowledge that helps you get through the night. You're not dealing with a permanent problem. It's a temporary phase.
It is. It's a phase.
But that highly irregular nature of their early sleep combined with, their lack of motor control, that leads us right into the highest stakes part of this whole conversation. Safe sleep. This is where we shift from, say, developmental frustration to just critical health information. We have to talk about the risks because the data around infant sleep deaths is, it's just sobering.
It absolutely is. And when you look at the sources, the scale of this is what really demands your attention. About 3,500 babies die every year in the U.S. during their sleep.
3,500.
Yeah. So this isn't just a suggestion. It's a public health crisis that really requires everyone to follow the same safety rules. And it's so important that parents understand the two major categories here. You have SID, the sudden infant death syndrome, which is technically the diagnosis when a baby dies and the cause can't be explained.
Even after an investigation.
Even after a full investigation. And then you have the preventable physical causes, things like suffocation, strangulation, entrapment, usually from an unsafe sleep setup.
That distinction, SIDs versus these preventable physical deaths, that really puts the focus on what parents can control, doesn't it?
It does.
Because SIDs can feel so random, so scary. But the guidelines, they're designed to reduce the risk of all these things at the same time. The sources really stress that there are concrete, proven ways to dramatically lower the risk.
Which immediately brings up the question of, why? Why do these practices work? What are the actual policy-backed steps that we know are effective? We need to look at the why behind all the rules.
Okay, let's dive into that. This is the list of actionable things you need to take away from this and do tonight. So what is the foundational practice? The one that has saved the most lives?
That would be the Back to Sleep campaign. It's the absolute cornerstone of all the advice, summarized in the sources as the 12 ways to reduce the risk of SIDs and suffocation.
And it's not a suggestion.
It is not a suggestion. It's a non-negotiable directive.
Wow.
Always place your baby on their back for every single sleep, naps, overnight, every time. And the reason why, the mechanism, is really important. When a baby is face down, especially on something soft, they can rebreathe their own exhaled air.
Leading to a buildup of carbon dioxide.
Exactly. And sleeping on their stomach can also mess with their ability to wake up their arousal response if they get too hot or are in distress. Sleeping on the back lowers both of those risks significantly.
That makes perfect sense. It's all about clear airways and making sure they can respond. But I know a common worry parents have when they hear back to sleep is, what about their head shape or their motor development?
And the sources address that directly with the title, Back to Sleep, Tummy to Play.
Ah.
It's a perfect pairing. Safety during sleep has to be matched with crucial developmental work when they're awake and you're watching them.
So tummy time.
Supervised tummy time, yes, when they're alert. It's essential for strengthening neck muscles and preventing those flattened head spots. So development happens during play, safety happens during sleep.
That is a fantastic way to put it. Okay, let's talk about the environment itself, the crib. If the baby is on their back correctly, what specific items have to be, ruthlessly removed from that sleep space?
The list is strict, and it really comes down to one motto: bare is best.
Bare is best. I like that.
It means absolutely no loose blankets, no pillows, no bumper pads, no toys, no soft bedding at all in the crib. It should only have a firm mattress with a fitted sheet. That's it. And what's more, the sources specifically call out certain products, things often marketed to exhausted parents that are just, well, they're risky.
Like what?
Two big ones to avoid for sleep are inclined sleepers. They've been linked to so many deaths because of positional asphyxia, where the baby's head can slump forward and cut off their airway.
Wow.
And the other is soft nursing pillows. They're great for feeding, but incredibly dangerous if a baby rolls or shifts onto one while sleeping.
And that's a critical warning. Because it's so easy for a tired parent to just let the baby fall asleep on one of those things.
It is, but they introduce an unacceptable risk.
And what about the crib itself? I know the standards for those have changed over the years.
They have, and the sources point to the importance of the new crib standards. The biggest change, historically, was banning drop-side cribs.
Right, I remember that.
They posed a huge risk of mechanical failure, where a baby could get trapped between the mattress and the rail. Now, crib standards demand fixed sides, better hardware, stricter testing, all to eliminate those entrapment risks.
So you need to make sure your gear is modern and meets the rules.
Modern, in good repair, and meets current safety standards. And critically, this applies to every sleep site. The bassinet, the travel crib, the main crib. Safety is required for nighttime and for nap time. There are no safe shortcuts.
We've covered the big fundamentals, but the sources also go into some related topics. For instance, swaddling. It can be a great tool for a newborn. What's the key safety rule there?
Swaddling can be really effective, but the safety rule is firm. You have to stop swaddling the moment the baby shows any sign of trying to roll over.
Why is that?
Because a swaddled baby who manages to roll onto their stomach is at a much higher risk. The swaddle keeps them from using their arms to push up and clear their airway.
That makes sense. And what about those home apnea monitors? We see ads for those all the time. Do they help prevent SIDs?
That is a really common misconception. For healthy infants, the answer is no. Those monitors have not been shown to reduce the risk of SIDs.
So who are they for?
They might give some comfort to anxious parents, but medically, they're only for infants with specific health conditions like severe apnea or being born very prematurely. Relying on a monitor instead of safe sleep practices is a dangerous mistake.
And lastly, the sources touch on broader things like reversing day-night reversal or sleep apnea in children. So if a parent thinks there's a chronic issue like snoring or gasping, that needs a doctor's visit, Right.
Absolutely. Those are related health factors. Healthy sleep is safe sleep. If a baby isn't breathing correctly, it impacts their overall health and resilience. It all connects.
So after all this, what does it all mean for the sleep-deprived parent who's listening? We've got this developmental chaos, which is normal until about 6 months,
Right.
and then we have these non-negotiable safety rules, driven by that devastating statistic of 3,500 deaths a year. The takeaway isn't just knowledge, it feels like it's permission to be vigilant.
It is. And our final synthesis really centers on overcoming that doubt and exhaustion. The sources talk about putting back sleeping concerns to rest. You have to trust the data, not your intuition, especially when your intuition is warped by fatigue.
Right.
Safe sleep is about eliminating the variables: a firm surface, a bare environment, and the baby on their back every single time. That consistency is the safety net.
And that exhaustion is what makes it so hard to maintain those protocols. Which leads us to our final provocative thought for you to consider. The source material mentions, for sleep-deprived new parents, these gifts can be priceless. Now, considering the high stakes of infant sleep safety, the constant vigilance it requires, what does a priceless gift truly mean in this context? Is it the perfect new high-tech baby gadget? Or could it be the other resources, the familial, the communal, the support structures that make sure the parent is rested enough to stay vigilant night after night? Think about the support system you need or the support you can offer to truly give the gift of safe sleep.